Falcons, you spoke about those Saints, two teams that are, well, bias plus is only 1.4, Benny, but it does favor the Falcons.
Yes,
Who is
indeed.
quarterbacking for the Saints now? Because, I asked about the guy, Ty, what's his name?
Taysom Hill.
Taysom
Taysom
Hill.
Hill, they will not make Taysom Hill the quarterback. I'll tell you why. First of all, he does too much other stuff. They'll miss him too much from all the other stuff that he does. Second of all, in order to be an NFL quarterback, you need reps. You need preseason reps, you need training camp reps, and you need to play in some games. They can't just pluck him out the sky and stick him back there. It's just not going to work. Now, Falcons at Saints. This is another NFC South. Well, this NFC South has put out some really good games. I don't know how good this one's going to be, but let's see what we got here. So we just got finished talking about the Saints. Because they lost to Carolina. Yeah, they lost 23-22 to Carolina after the game. In fact, the next day, their head coach, Dennis Allen, was fired. Derek Carr, their quarterback, struggled badly. He went 18 to 31. 18 to 31, good God. Well, that's not so terrible. But he only threw for one touchdown. Alvin Kamara was a workhorse as usual, 155 yards, 29 carries, 6 receptions for another 60 yards. But again, 0 touchdowns. Now let's talk about the Falcons. Now, let me remind you something. Back when I did my analysis of the Falcons back on week 9, I pointed out the difference between how poorly they finished last season and how well they were playing this season. I let everybody know, especially the doubters, that the biggest difference between then and now was Kirk Cousins. That was last week I said that. This week, 1 week later, an article came out by the Associated Press. And in fact, it came out on Monday. And this is what it said. And I quote, anyone who watched the Atlanta Falcons over the past few seasons could recognize their biggest shortcoming, the lack of a first-rate quarterback. Kirk Cousins has been just what they needed. Unquote. Thank you very much. The NFC South leaders beat the Dallas Cowboys 27-21. They got 222 yards and 3 more touchdowns. This is like his 4th or 5th 3-touchdown game from Kirk Cousins, including 13 completions in a row at one point. 13 completions in a row, folks. Newspapers and commentators don't just throw that out there like it happens all the time, because it doesn't. Bijan Robinson had another big day, 19 carries, 86 yards, and he led the team with 7 receptions for another 59 yards. No doubt in my mind on this one. Atlanta rolls into New Orleans and takes the win. Looks like I'm going with the bias again.
Yes, it does look like you're going with the bias again. Well, maybe bias can catch up with your percentages because you,
Yeah, stick with me, bias. Stick with
you know,
me.